Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning to these videos. In this video, I'm going to title it The End of This World, not to be confused with the notion that this world will be destroyed and done away with, because the scripture says that the earth will abide forever. What I'm speaking about is the ion word, Greek here. I'll push it here in the Strong's.
Strong's G165, ion.
So when you go into the scriptures and you can read certain passages and it speaks about the end of the world. Like I'll just zoom into, I'll read just for an example, Matthew 24:3, it says, "And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came up to him privately, saying, Tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world." So not to be confused with the notions of the world being destroyed or whatever, being done away with, but this world here, Strong's G165, is ion, which basically means an era, a period of time and age. So it's the end of this era, the era and rulership of Esau Edom. And we're going to go through a lot of stuff before we get there as prophesied, but we still have to go through these situations and witnessing Esau Edom's kingdom crumble, and all through the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai as we're speaking these things, chanting down Babylon. But we have to read these precepts and have that understanding that this is the end of an era of Esau Edom's rulership. And when it's going to fall down and crumble, or when he's trying to grasp whatever power he can get in these last seconds of his rulership, we still have to suffer some things, which I wanted to bring this precept out first. Luke 17:25, it says, "But first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation." And so that is speaking about how down here we are not part of this world, in the oikomeni sense even, but also of the ion sense, that this era is an era that is going to be destroyed, done away with, and it's going to be renewed once Yahweh Shai returns. But we still have to go and suffer many things until that happens. Read this other precept here, verse as Hebrews 13:14. It says, "For here have we no continuing city, but we seek one to come." And so we're basically seeking the prophecies to be fulfilled. And of course, we still have to see Jacob's trouble come to pass, and all of these things that was spoken about in Matthew 24, wars and rumors of wars. But we're seeing that these things are escalating, and that's why we're not building houses or churches or whatever, as these worldly groups like to do. We don't have a continuing city in this place. Whatever this place has to offer is corrupt. We're storing our treasures in heaven, where moth and rust does not corrupt, as a spiritual thing, where we are arising and departing out of Babylon spiritually, until that actually takes place when the chariots deliver the elect. So I'm going to read this also in 2nd Ezra 8:1, because these are things that prophetically the prophets were getting the understanding. So from verse 1 it says, "And he answered me, saying, The Most High hath made this world for many, but the world to come for few." So the era that you're living in right now with your friends and families, co-workers or whatever, they're all basically in the broad gate. And this is basically just temporary. We're pilgrims in this travel, so that we can finally get to the kingdom wherein righteousness dwells, where righteousness is established, where that's the standard, as opposed to this society where the law is slack concerning the scriptures. And all these things that Esau Edom perpetuates is basically just his demise, the end of this era. So I'm going to continue reading. Let me see. Well, actually, I'll read this other precept in 2nd Ezra 6 and 7. This is then So right here it says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And so this to point out that it was in the Apocrypha, because these certain things were taken out of the scriptures because it names names. It lists dates, so to speak. Even though it's in a parable, this right here is a big indicator to let us know about the era that we are currently in, because this is just the revitalized Roman Empire. Everything Esau Edom does in his rulership right now is basically modeled after the Roman Empire. And so when Esdras was getting this information, he asked this question, is that what are going to be the parting of the sunder of times? And when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And so in verse 8 it says, And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. And so this is basically bringing us back to the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 25. And you can read that for yourself to read that account, where Esau Edom was born first, but Jacob grabbed his heel. But that is all a metaphor to seeing how Jacob basically supplants him. He's going to pull him, like if you yank a person from their heel, they start to fall and tumble. And so this is all just metaphor and biblically prophetic things that were taking place. But so you see this, that like how Esdras was asking about the end of the world or the end of the era, but then he was given a response about going back all the way to the book of Genesis, from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because that is a very monumental point in our ministry and the return of Yahushai, to let us know, as we're watchmen, we're gauging through the Spirit the time frame that we're in. It does say that we have to measure the times diligently, and that's what we're doing. And we could definitely see that this devil Esau Edom being exposed on a grand scale, and that the man of sin is basically being revealed. This is these last days that we're seeing his society crumble, his era being done away with. So I'm going to read from verse 8 again, because it's pointing us back all the way to the book of Genesis, because that is a very important thing. This isn't something that's just dismissed. It's in there for a reason. So verse 8, it says, And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And so that right there is basically an indicator to let us know about who has next. And then you can even apply this to the visions that Daniel saw, where it pertains to the statue, where they had the golden head, the silver chest, and going all the way down to the feet where it was miry clay and iron. That miry and clay and iron represented the Roman rulership. And so just as that tower in his vision was destroyed by a meteor representing Yahushai, after that, Israel was established as the rulers. The saints of the Most High are going to take the kingdom forever and forever. Perpetual rulership. So this right here has to take place for all of these other visions to make sense, because they're really speaking about the same prophecy once Israel is set up in the right order and Esau Edom is put down. All right, so last precept I'll read. This is in 1 John 2 and 17. It says, And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. And that starts now. As we're preaching and prophesying the downfall of this society and chanting down Babylon, basically we're making our souls we're making our bodies a sacrifice so that we can receive this blessing and also get access to the tree of life, the Spirit. Because when the Heavenly Father sends Yahushai down here and destroys this era, the elect who have been standing stiffly for his name during that captivity, during that time frame, they're going to be exalted on high and live forever. And even those who have died in this ministry are going to live forever. because death is just a it's just a transition. We know that our works follow us, and so that right there is basically giving us access, because we have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that's going to keep us stable in these days, so that whatever comes our way in this era, we know that these scriptures apply. This world is going to pass away, and the lust thereof, all the wickedness that this place has to offer, is going to be done away with. I'll read this precept again. It says 1 John 2:17, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. I'm going to get one more precept. This is in 2 Peter 3. I'm just going to start into it, just jumping in. So this is 2 Peter 3, and I'm going to just start at verse 13. So I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in all holy conversation and godliness? And us being watchmen, we're like the first ones seeing these things, or at least we're the main ones attentive to these things. When we're watching the news, we're the main ones applying the scriptures to what's taking place, measuring the times diligently, and also going to the highways and hedges and bidding them to the marriage. So as we're seeing all these things and this world, this era passing away, as it says, what manner of person ought you to be? But I'm going to continue on. Verse 12, it says, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Because we have the vision. We've heard it from the apostles and the elders and on down. When we turn on the cameras and we record, we're doing these videos on the highways and hedges or at our homes, doing these epistles. We're going to bring up the vision of World War III and how this place is going to pass away. It's going to be burnt with elements, with the elements being melted with fervent heat. This is verse 13. Nevertheless, us who are standing still before Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's name in the midst of all this chaos in this era, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. And that's basically the message for the Akim, because we still have to go to work, pay taxes, bills, deal with our family members. If you have seed, we're not going to dismiss the things that we have to do. We handle business here, but ultimately we're not entangled with the cares and the affairs of this world, because we know and understand that this era, this world, is going to be done away with, and it's going to be melted with fervent heat. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rachapadash, and Shalom Akim.